Brexit bin Habib issued a stark warning to the European Union about the future of the bloc and warned of growing Eurosceptic movements on the continent. Former Brexit party MEP bin Habib has claimed the EU may see growing Euroscepticism in the near future, which could potentially spark a crisis within the bloc. During an interview with Express.co.uk, Mr. Habib hinted member states, Spain, Greece, Italy and France could one day push to try to leave the European Union. He insisted this was due to the bloc's initial handling of the coronavirus pandemic. He added if Britain makes a success of Brexit, other countries may want to follow in the UK's footsteps. Mr. Habib said, the EU fears greatly that other countries will wish to leave. That is one of the reasons why it cannot allow the UK to have a successful Brexit. Countries such as Greece, Italy, Spain and even France. France is in real trouble. These countries have significant Eurosceptic movements and they are growing. The pandemic has accelerated those groups and that skepticism because they look at the EU and its inability and hostility at the outbreak of the pandemic. Mr. Habib criticized the EU for their initial treatment of member states at the beginning of the coronavirus outbreak. He highlighted how this behavior would not be forgotten by these nations and could later cause issues for the EU. He continued, the EU's had a desire to control member states from doing what was right for member states at that time. For example, countries needed to close their borders and the EU was up in arms about it because of freedom of movement. They eventually came around to it because they saw that they had to, but you could see in the onset of the virus how awful the EU was in its attitude towards member states' interests. Ultimately, the pandemic has fueled Euroscepticism across Europe, particularly across the weaker parts of the European Union. Mr. Habib noted another reason why the European Union wants Brexit to go poorly for Britain. He said, there is another reason why the EU cannot allow Britain to have a successful exit. It is because you will then see the Eurosceptic movements in France, Italy, Greece, Spain and eastern parts of the European Union grow. They will really be banging the drum saying we need to get out of the EU.